Well, a very, very happy Wednesday, and welcome to another episode of the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin. Today is February 25th of 2026. How is everyone doing on a hump day? Halfway through the week. Hopefully everyone has gotten a chance to have some fun and get going. Boy, Man, it's been busy back to back to back all week long. This is what I live for. This is what I'm excited about. We are streaming live. Let me double check that, by the way. I think we are streaming live. What we are done, I know we are streaming live on Riverside. I want to say hello to everyone over there. We are also streaming live on our YouTube channel. What's going on, everyone? Thank you guys for tuning in, and on our Twitter page. For today's program, we're going to kind of run down a couple different conversations. We're going to get you guys ready for our MLB The Show 25. We'll have a brief conversation about that. We'll talk about AJ Styles' retirement tribute on Raw. Kind of go a little bit more into depth on that on today's episode. We'll talk about and give you the Elimination Chamber match card for this Saturday. And then we'll talk about Cincinnati Bearcats baseball and basketball, as well as the Cincinnati Reds, as they have a game later on this afternoon. 3:05 first pitch against those Chicago White Sox. We'll get you guys all prepped up in this hour of sports conversation. But, for those fans that are maybe wondering, well, Justin, why aren't you talking about the NFL? It's combine week. It's, you got the NFL draft in relations. Hold on. There we go. So I just want to make sure I had connection. One thing that I love about Riverside, I'll just take a moment to say this, is that there's not much of a connection issue when we live stream. So, I could tell you this, but back to the conversation we had. Well, football fans, maybe you asking me, well, Justin, why aren't we doing mock drafts? It's combine season, probably a pivotal point for a lot of players who need to kind of lock in. If they weren't secured into a draft spot, or they were unsure about if they were going to make a team or not, the combine's that final step, that final moment where players get to showcase their skills in a series of activities. It's also a case where NFL teams get to have one-on-one engagements with no college associated with it. And to me, I honestly stay away from the combine, and I stay away from the NFL draft as far as I can. I understand that there are reasons and conversations on why we need to have the draft, or we need to talk. And when we get closer to the time, I'll talk to you about the draft. But in all honesty, I stay away from the combine. I stay away from reports and analytics and all that fun stuff for a particular reason. One, that's not my strength. You guys could tell. I know you guys could tell. It's not my strength. I talk about the NFL. I could talk about football. I could talk a little bit about basketball, sure. Talk about a lot of wrestling. But the combine, I stay away. There's no magic ball. There's no crystal ball indicating, well, you know what? When I look into that player, I know he's the future. And I don't know precisely what the statistic is, but not everybody that comes out of the draft is a top tier talent and they're going to make a name for themselves. We've seen the bottom of the draft. The draft is designed that anyone from the number one draft pick to the very last draft pick, yes, they have a potential, but it has to be under the right circumstances. I've seen talented players get drafted and two organizations that don't have the right coach, that don't have the right system in place. and they fall behind and become an afterthought to the league. And yet I've seen players that probably just doesn't deserve to be in the spotlight. They've gotten pushed and malnourished and treated the same, and they become megastars. There's no promise for tomorrow when it comes down to the NFL draft. Yes, and it's a fun conversation what we could have been based off of talent that happened in college, which I would argue that college football is completely different than NFL football. But overall, you can't predict the better as I can that a player is going to come through this and be anything more than just another average Joe. That's my honest opinion. I hope everyone who comes through the draft gets picked up and they find success. There's just no promises of a career. And when you talk about and compare that to the Cincinnati Bengals, well, let's face it. We need players to win now. And when you go back to the NFL draft, I associate a 2, maybe 3-year span. It's very rare that that players come out of the draft to their NFL team, start that same season, and become this megastar. I will say that I was impressed by how Shamar Stewart entered play last year and how he fit well within the organization, but that's it. And he still has room to develop, and that's what I like about it. And cool, you get one of those moments once in a while, but in reality, they take a couple years to develop. And for the Bengals, they need to win now. They don't have 2 to 3 years to play and try to build something. They need to draft players to win now. And quite frankly, where else do you find that if you expect or have the anticipation that a draft player coming out of the draft is going to take 2, if not 3 years to develop, to know if they're going to be something worthy enough investing in? Sure, they could contribute to your squad now, but are they good? Are they going to be good enough this coming up season to help the defense or help wherever they're placed at to win a Super Bowl? This year is a must or bust for the Bengals for the simple fact for what Joe Burrow said this past winter. And, he got a chance to revisit that conversation and clear the air a little bit. And I appreciate that for him. But the bottom line is that last winter he got to the point where he felt he was unhappy and he expressed it among everyone around him. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, you can't take that back, in my opinion. This team and this team's future lies on what happens to Joe Burrow. And I strongly believe that I don't know if it has to be Zach Taylor, Duke Tobin, Mike Brown, somebody, or all of them need to put all of their pieces into fixing whatever it needs to be fixed to show Joe Burrow that he is that we are serious, that we are building a team around you to win, not just to finish 6-10 this year. We are set to win. We are set to win a division title. We are set to go to the AFC Championship and win that. And we are set to go to the Super Bowl and possibly win. Or let's face it, if none of that happens this year, and Joe Burrow is given the opportunity to walk and he doesn't take it, I'd call him a fool. I would argue, why are you with an organization that doesn't care or doesn't show interest or show very little to minimum interest on wanting to keep their talents happy and to continue the process going forward. I mean, you're about to free up $30 million on salary cap because Trey Hendrickson's walking. You're not going to collect anything out of it. The Bengals are in a position to win now. They don't have 2, they don't have 3 years. And when you look at where the division that is in its entirety, we've seen a lot of changes this year. This is a great opportunity to capitalize and get ahead of anything that's happening out there in Baltimore, anything that's happening up north in Cleveland, or even out there on the East Coast in Pittsburgh. So where do you turn to? Because for me, I don't turn to the draft. I turn into who are the players do we need to resign? Which is one of the biggest questions is do you resign Orlando Brown? That's a question I would honestly ask. Is it worth enough signing Orlando Brown, even though, I mean, left tackles are very scarce right now, and you're not going to go find a good left tackle without having to spend a pretty penny. So why not invest to someone who you already have, someone that's built a relationship with Joe Burrow over the years, knows this offensive line better than the next person you bring in. But how does the Bengals address their forefront issues? Through the draft, and you're hoping that the 5, 6, 7, 10 people, whatever amount of people you sign, is going to become someone's going to mount within the next few months and be something spectacular? I don't think so. Do you find? I mean, I find it in trades. I find it in free agent signings. There's conversations out there about bringing Max Crosby in. Well, let's put our money where our mouths are. When it happens, let's be prepared. I want to see some breaking news coming up in 2-3 weeks from now. But I do not sit here and ponder over the combine because that's business. I'll watch it. I'll watch the combine. I'll listen to someone what are these people are talking, but they're just talking to me. No disrespect to the analysts that put their hard-earned efforts, and no disrespect to the players, no disrespect to the agents that out there. I've had an agent on our show before where he represented some players in the NFL draft, and we talked about it, and it's a whole nother thing. Don't get me wrong. I don't follow it for 2 reasons. One, it's not my skill. And 2, I where this team is at, where we need to be at right now, right here, right now situation indicates that we need to do a lot more than just draft people. Because to me, a draft takes a little bit more time to develop players and to figure out if there's somebody different. And to be honest, I don't see that. Alrighty. I have my notes over there, and I don't want you to, you know what? Let me go grab my binder so I could get into my next segment. Please bear with me for a moment. I thought I was able to have it ready going on, but I need this binder to kind of help me get through my next segment. So, today we're talking about briefly here the MLB The Show 25 franchise mode series, where today we are back at it again. We play as the Cincinnati Reds for spring training, Monday through Friday. It is just whatever the Cincinnati Reds spring training schedule is, which, by the way, for those just to refresh everyone's mind, we're playing the 2025 calendar year of spring training games with similar, if not identical, roster implications heading into spring and I kind of give you my own dynamic call on what decisions I would make and whatnot. And so today's game that gets uploaded, um, we had yesterday off. We're currently 3-0, and so we had yesterday off. We beat the Dodgers back on Monday, and now we're getting ready to take on the Los Angeles Angels. We're playing at the Angels AAA affiliate stadium in compared to what the video game has in MLB The Show 25, where they are at Laughing Mountain Park. First pitch is scheduled for 3:10. We will have left-handed pitcher Nick Lodolo on the mound for the Reds, and our lineup is as hold. Today we see TJ Friedel playing center field, Matt McClain playing shortstop, Noel V. Marte playing right field, Miguel Andujar playing left field. First base is Spencer Steer. The designated hitter is Sal Stewart. The third base is Key Brian Hayes. The catcher is Tyler Stevenson. And playing at second base is Luis Rengifo. Now, I think the concept here for pitching wise, we're either having Luis May or Emilio Pagan suitable for a closing position, depending what the score is heading into the late of the game. I got Brandon Williamson, so I have about 2 to 3 innings expected for Nick Lodolo. We're still going through our first set of the rotations, which is a 5-man rotation base. Um, and then I go into our backup starters. Uh, I usually pair them with another pitcher that I would put into the schedule, and then I throw in bullpen guys. I know TJ Antone's on the list for today. I know Sam Maul is on the list for today as well. So we have ourselves that list, and it really just depends how the game goes on the decision who is going to actually play. So I create a list of who's available, who I want to use, who I want to replace on the field, throughout the game. So you'll see guys like Tyler Callahan. I still have Ben Roldevert on the roster. CES Santiago Espinal. Now, this isn't the actual refined roster for the game, and I get that. Um, I added some players that I thought could benefit, and then some adjustments made throughout the course of the couple weeks. And so adjustments will be made moving forward. So, but that is today's game, 3:00. First pitch. You can check it here on our TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Please, we would appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe. Support us as we get through this, schedule, and let us know how we are doing. We saw earlier on before our day off last week or yesterday. We saw Hunter Green, we saw Brady Singer, we saw Chase Burns all get starts. Coming up tomorrow, just in a looking ahead, because we don't get a day off for a whole nother week, March 3rd or March 5th, which is, I believe, is going to be next Thursday. And so we'll have Andrew Rabbit out there. Chase Petty, I know, will get a start at some point. Carson Spears. We'll see Brett Lauder. And I was going through the rotation. I was like, all right, well, how do I want to play out the rotation for spring? I mean, I have, Andrew Abbott, Hunter Green, Brady Singer, Nick Lodolo. Those are my 4 key guys. And I have Brett Lauder, Chase Burns, Brandon Williamson, kind of all competing for that 5th spot. Right now, I'm kind of lingering towards Chase Burns, but I honestly want to see, maybe Brett Lauder has a better spring, and I'll go into the new video game saying, all right, well, Brett Lauder has a better spring over Chase Burns, so he'll get the nod, and Chase Burns gets the minor league, AAA deal to begin the season. And then I got to figure out, well, what's my bullpen locked in set? And my battle is kind of similar to what the Reds have, right? I mean, I have a solid forefront. I want to figure out if I want Nathaniel Lowe on the main roster, if he starts off in the minor leagues. I want to know who's playing first. Is that Sal Stewart or Spencer Steer, or if it's even Nathaniel Lowe for that retrospect. And then what's my outfield look like? And who's our backup to it? Is Will Benson? Is it JJ Bleday? Does Dane Myers make that start? All coming off the bench. And so there are things that I'm looking at towards spring training. So um a next set of computer versus computer simulated games will be coming up this weekend. Later on this week, I will let you know all about that stuff. But today at 3:05, we take on the Los Angeles Angels, and that is the update we have for you on our MLB The Show 25 franchise mode series, where we play as the Cincinnati Reds, on available on our TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, before we get moved on to our next segment, we'll talk a little bit about wrestling here. I want to go ahead and just give a shout out. This is not an endorsement. I'm not being sponsored by them, but I am using Riverside, which is a online streaming service that allows you to stream live, record, and do so much more throughout for podcasting needs, whether it's a video podcast, audio podcast. It has its own little editing options in your project setup. It's easy to use. I'm still learning how to use it, but depending on what service you have different availabilities. And what I think takes away is because this world is now into shorts and different formats and creating reels. And uh, this allows me, it cuts out what they call magic clips. So it takes this video that I'm on live stream now, and it takes out highlighted points, which you probably have already seen on a YouTube channel, and it honestly gives you like about a minute long short, and you can play with it, you can mess with it, you can cut your own, but they navigate you through it. And so all you got to do is go into any editing and clean it up a little bit. They even give you the 3-minute long segment videos. And so it's a really good tool. And I've found it useful because, it beats having to go back in every video, watch it for its entirety, and then figure out whether or not what to use, and then cut that out, and I'll come back in and re-edit all that stuff. So this is all within hands of um available on Riverside. So I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Riverside for the service that they provide. It's been very helpful for me. And if you guys are an upcoming podcast, you guys are wanting to start a podcast, Riverside is a good option to do so. Now, there's free options that you could choose otherwise, but this kind of maybe takes your program to the next level. All right, back on Monday Night Raw, we witnessed a tribute to AJ Styles. He retired from the WWE earlier this year. And when I say earlier this year, it hasn't barely been a month, to be honest. But he ended up losing to Gunther at the Royal Rumble, at which he put his career on the line. And they were in Atlanta, Georgia last Monday, earlier this week. And they dedicated an entire show for him in his hometown, so where he could walk off into the sunset, speak to the crowd, get adored by fans, family, competitors, and a nice little touch was that it was announced that he was getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for the class 2026. Now, my initial reaction to this program, or to this coming into the show, was that that this was an angle that the WWE was going to use to promote some sort of match. Gunther was going to maybe interrupt this segment. Brock Lesnar could have got involved, whatever the case may be. I didn't think it was going to bring back AJ Styles from wrestling, but I thought it was going to be an angle work where someone got kind of ruined it. And to my surprise, it was very clean, it was very organized, and it was well perceived. On top of that, AJ Gunther did get a chance to spoil a little bit of it, as to open up Monday Night Raw, we saw Corey Graves and Michael Cole in the ring talking about the tribute to AJ Styles, and Gunther interrupted them. Then later was getting escorted out of the arena by Adam Pearson's security. Now, this little segment was a little segment, and it happened at the complete opposite end, where everyone was really celebrating AJ Styles and his career. Excuse me. But I felt like it was a segment that was still needed because it builds just more hatred on top of Gunther. You know, this entire thing to me still seems so unsurreal. It really gives me, I can't really believe it, to be honest. Like, I knew AJ Styles announced, hey, in 2026, I'm going to retire. And I was expecting kind of a similar concept to what John Cena had, last year. I didn't need specific dates, but you'd figure that maybe AJ Styles had another championship, a single solo championship run waiting for him. Maybe he lasted out through SummerSlam or through at least WrestleMania. And yeah, it made sense that, Royal Rumble 11 years ago is the right place to end it, because 2026 Royal Rumble, but yet again, it was in a different country, right? Saudi Arabia. First time for everything, I guess. I've never seen someone retire at the Royal Rumble. I've never seen someone retire outside the country in the WWE. And for the fact that AJ Styles' hometown was in Atlanta, you'd figure maybe they title something along to that. But so I'm still trying to let that sink in, that as far as at least WWE goes, AJ Styles is retired. And I say that cautiously because he has opened up about how he wants to keep his career open, at least for an option to maybe compete with his kids, right? We've seen Ray and, Ray do it with Dominic, and, Dusty's done it with his sons. But to see AJ Styles keep that an open option, it's a possibility, and I would be okay and valued to see that. It also keeps the open option if there's any other final kind of send-offs that he wants to do in any other promotion that he has not retired in. I'm not saying AJ Styles goes to AEW. I don't think that is his nature. I feel like he's at peace with his career, which I can't understand why people aren't who's not okay with it. If he's at peace with himself, he's like, look, when you sacrifice a lot as a professional wrestler, you spend a lot of time away from your kids, away from your families, away from your loved ones. You're on the road. And sure, even though the schedule is not the same it was even 5 years ago, you're still away from your family quite some time. And so if you're at peace, because he's been doing this for, 20 plus years, and he's at peace with himself to finally say, you know what, it's time to hang up my boots. I need to take this direction where I'm home. Randy Orton has opened up about that. We've heard Paul Levesque open up about that. He's not thinking WWE 24/7 unlike Vince McMahon. This has changed to be more of a family, but you don't get that back. So when you get this opportunity and say, look, wrestling is not number one anymore. As fans, we have to accept that. Yes, it still feels so strange to watch him retire, and he's still such a big name in the industry. But one, it allows someone else to step up and fill in. And two, let him be at peace with themselves. So I hate seeing or watching those posts fill in how people, oh, he's gonna go to AEW, or he's not good enough, or he's done, or whatnot. It's like, just let him be. But then at the end of it all, he was also inducted into the Hall of Fame. No sugarcoating. We're kind of ripping off that Band-Aid immediately following. And so the class now is only two people: Stephanie McMahon and AJ Styles. And there's no doubt that either one of them, they both definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I think this is a great year. Now, who do they follow up on? I mean, I feel like Stephanie's big enough to be a walk alone in the Hall of Fame, and then have some other people behind her. AJ Styles the same way. Maybe you do something, the big question is, will John Cena be inducted into this year's Hall of Fame? But, we start counting down the days and the ticket times, right, to WrestleMania, and that's also associated with it, the Hall of Fame, and who else is going to join. The other question that I even ask myself is how big this class is. We're so comfortable through the McMahon era to have this class of, 6 to 15 people, but realistically, I'm just fine with, honestly, 3, with 2. Keep it. You got to find a way to keep it within a certain time frame. Why not keep it at 2 or 3? Maybe 4, right? Under 5, and and you try to fill in, well, who else will qualify, who else can wait. So, anyways, it was a good segment throughout the course of Raw, showing highlights, showing his days in TNA, his debut at the Royal Rumble, him winning his championship matches, and I'm going to look forward to watching him be inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. WWE Elimination Chamber is this Saturday. And this is another step on the road to WrestleMania, as we have a couple of matches we only have 4 matches on the card, just like the Royal Rumble. This is that final pit stop, and going into this Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, we know 2 matches, technically 3. We know that Roman Reigns, who won the men's Royal Rumble match, will go on to face CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. In order for CM Punk to do that, he would have to first go through Finn Balor. We also know that Liv Morgan will be facing Stephanie Valkyrie for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. And we also know that Brock Lesnar will have a match at WrestleMania facing an opponent of whoever wants to step up and face the Beast Incarnate. So 3 matches have officially been confirmed. 2 matches will be confirmed this weekend as Drew McIntyre and Jade Cargill await their opponents. They will find out this Sunday as the winners of the men and women's Elimination Chamber will go on to face them at this year's WrestleMania. This year's Elimination Chamber will be taking place at the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. The PLE is famous for most of what we'll see in showcases of Immortals. What a night it will be in Chi-Town. So, here are the matches. We have Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee in singles competition for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, right? I think that's correct. Let me confirm that. Yep. We will see CM Punk taking on Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship. The 2026 Men's Elimination Chamber match as Cody Rhodes will take on LA Knight, Randy Orton, Javon Evans, Trick Williams, and the newly entrance of Jey Uso. In 2026 Women's Elimination Chamber match, we will see Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Kiana James, and Raquel Rodriguez. Becky Lynch. Hold on one second. Alexa, cancel. I am so sorry about that. Oh man, did not realize I was going to go off here during this episode. We just, the wife and I just got ourselves Alexa. You can see back there. And make sure she's not on. And when I see Bliss's name, she went off. Great stuff there. I'm like, great. You gotta talk back to me. So Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee. This match has, let me put it this word together. We have not seen AJ Lee in competition one-on-one by herself in a while. I still get worried if she will be perceived the same way. Now, here's my thing. Wrestling is all about taking from your own. Okay. Becky Lynch here has, I think, done a lot emotionally, mentally, but not physically yet, to help build this feud with AJ Lee. It's plain and simple. Lynch does not want Lee around. Why would you? With all no disrespect to AJ Lee, Becky Lynch doesn't want AJ Lee around. And why would you? You're someone who left the industry, and there's so much talent right now. Why do we need to bring back alumni? Becky Lynch is claiming that this is her division. It is her WWE Women's Intercontinental title, and she doesn't want someone who had their time in the sun come back and sweep it all from her underneath her. But AJ Lee isn't around to do that. Lee stated that she wants to fight at the absolute best and have a run of a lifetime. But now the road leads back to Becky. So Becky Lynch is sitting here and saying, this is my division. You're old. You're washed up, just like the Bella twins. AJ, go back and enjoy your retirement. Enjoy whatever you do when you're gone for all these years. Things have changed. This is my show. This is my division. We have created it from scratch. We have fed it into this new era of professional wrestling. And I'm not going to let someone like you. And when I say this about AJ Lee, I'm referencing it to Nikki Bella, the Bella twins. I'm referencing this to Trish Stratus and Lita. Don't get me wrong. They're great athletes, Hall of Famer athletes in my book. But this is an era that beyond serves you. You've done your time. We appreciate your time. Let the big girls shine now. Maybe you still have what it takes. You look phenomenal. You're in great condition. But this is our time now. AJ Lee has realized that that her biggest problem is this match of her career. She wants to come back, right? All these people who want to come back. Trish Stratus. You see um the Bella Twins, now AJ Lee, they come back. Maybe they're not looking to really spark any interest in having any significant title runs or replacing someone or reclaiming their position at the top of the division. Maybe they understand that, but the reality is that that AJ Lee, in order to face the best right now on Raw, Becky Lynch is that person. Becky Lynch, Jade Cargill, Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax, Stephanie Valkyrie, Lyra Valkyrie, they're all above AJ Lee. And so in order to beat the best, you got to face the best, and right now that best lies with Becky Lynch. This will be her first singles and title match in nearly 10 years. And basically, she's earned this opportunity and she wants to walk out of the state that she's called home for over a decade as the new Women's Intercontinental Championship. But Becky Lynch has other plans in Chicago, in the place where she'll finally get a vindication and expose AJ Lee for what she is, a piece of grander puzzle. A puzzle Lynch feels like she's completed. Carry the company on her back for most of the time that Lee was away. Regardless of the outcome, WWE will have the biggest women's match in recent memory. And the fact that this match is also happening at the Elimination Chamber and not happening at WrestleMania, I think says something. There's a lot here in this story to be said. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of feud. And it is respectfully so. Who do you guys think is going to win? Becky Lynch? Or will AJ Lee become the new WWE Women's Championship? Tomorrow's episode, we'll talk about the CM Punk versus Finn Balor match. And then on Friday, we'll talk about both the men's and women's Elimination Chamber match as we get ready for Elimination Chamber, along with our predictions this Friday. That's how the rest of the week plans out. Before we get into our final segment of the day and take a look at what went around in the sports world, I'd like to promote and talk about Enlighten Studios' upcoming production, Grassroots. Grassroots has been written and directed by Terry Chappell II, and will be going on at the Archville Theater in Cincinnati, Ohio from February 27th through March 8th. Get your tickets today. You get them in person at the door or save a few dollars. Get them online by visiting tickettailor.com for more information. It is Tech Week. It is all hands on deck. It is fun, chaotic, and for me, I'm getting a first sense of what goes on from start to finish for a production. For a theater production. And I guess got to say, it comes with its highs and its lows. There's always struggles. There's always obstacles to prevail, but they're being prevailed. And so I've gotten a chance to gotten a chance to talk to a lot of cast members. I'm excited for this production. You guys should be too. I would like you to invite you guys out there. Come support Enlighten Studios and support me. I will be there. Come say hi to me at the shows. I'll be there for all 8 shows. There's 4 shows this weekend, 4 shows on next weekend as well. And be sure to get your tickets. Visit tickettailor.com. I'll put a link in the description below. Would also like to invite you to check out Enlighten Studios' podcasting channel called Light in the City, where we provide you podcasting needs and episodes of news, events, things that's going around the performing arts world in Cincinnati, and all that other fun stuff in Newell. I host a show called The Enlightened Experience that is aired every Monday at 5 p.m., where we kind of cover all the news, stories, and events coming with you regarding with Enlighten Studios in this wonderful city of Cincinnati. Be sure to follow, and you can check them out wherever you get your podcasting needs at. All right, this is the big day for Cincinnati Bearcats as the men's baseball team host a home opener against the Bowling Green. What is the Bowling Green's name? Gosh, I had their names. Falcons. Bowling Green Falcons. There we go. Cincinnati Bearcats are coming off of a split series against UAB over the weekend. They will host the Bowling Green Falcons today. First pitch at 3 o'clock, available on ESPN Plus, and I'm watching. This was a game scheduled for yesterday, but due to weather concerns and restraints, they pushed it out to today. If you haven't gotten tickets yet, you be sure to get your tickets. They'll be going on at this UC Baseball Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati comes into this game with a 5-3 record. They're coming off a 2-game winning streak as they are 5-3 on the road as they begin this home game. They will follow that up on a 3-game homestand against Austin, PA. This coming up weekend. Let's go Bearcats. Over there against the Cincinnati men's basketball team, the Bearcats took on the Texas Tech last night in Lubbock, Texas at the United Supermarket Arena. Attendance was 13,858. The Cincinnati's found themselves on the losing end as they lost to number 16 Texas Tech. 80-68 was the final score. With this loss, Cincinnati drops to 15-13 on the year, moves to 7-8 in the Big 12 play, while Texas improves to 21-7 and 11-4 in the same conference. This game was the fourth of all-time series between these two schools, with Texas Tech evening their ledger at 2-2 apiece. This team has split the games with Lubbock. The Bearcats turned the ball over with the season low 3 times last night. It tied for the least turnovers in the game by Cincinnati's dating back to the 1996-1997 season. The Bearcats, previously low this season, was six as of February 15th against Utah. Cincinnati's 24 rebounds was the least in the game this season. The Bearcats' previous low was 27 against UCF back on January 11th. Jalen Celestine poured in 15 points in his 9th double-figure scoring game with the season and 38th of his career. Giselle James recorded his 10th double-figure scoring game of the year with his 51st of his career with the 12 points. Bubba Miller notched his 21st double-figure scoring game of the year with 12 points. And Mustafa Thiam scored 21 points, his 20th game of the year, 20th point game of the year, and the second in a row. Thiam also added 10 boards in his 6th career double figure in the 4th of the season. He recorded his 17th double-figure scoring game of the year, in which he lends out 36 of his career. Wes Miller, has moved his career record to 282 to 207, and this with the Bearcats, he moved to 97 and 72. The Bearcats will be back at it again this Saturday against Oklahoma. They only got 2 games left on their regular season. The Cincinnati Reds took on the Kansas City Royals yesterday, beating them 5-4 in spring training action. Andrew Abbott had the nod to start the game. He pitched 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, struck out 2 batters, allowing a home run. Brandon Williamson also pitched 2 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, struck out 4 batters, and allowed a home run. The 4 points for the 4 runs scored for the Royals scored within the first 4 innings from the hands of Andrew Abbott and Brandon Williamson. Pierce Johnson had an outing as he pitched 1 inning, as well as Sam Moll. And the Reds were down 4-3 heading into the 9th inning, thanks to a couple of youngsters coming up big for the ball club. Well, in the 9th inning, Edwin Arroyo singles on a ground ball to left field. Sal Stewart ends up scoring in. Leo Balcazar moves over to second, tying the game at 4 apiece. Michael Togila singles on a ground ball to right field. Leo Balcazar scores in. Ken Carley moves to second, and the Reds win, picking up the first win on the spring training regimen. And I thought this was a big deal. Okay, you've had a couple of these younger guys, and when you get a chance to see these younger guys perform, trust me, you're putting a lot on these coaching staffs to say, "Hey, look, we have talent down there. They're gonna be if someone gets injured, have some confidence, have some, be okay that you could call up an Edwin Arroyo and Michael Toglova under pressure." Okay, Cam Collier, under pressure in the ninth inning when the back's up against the wall, you're down by a run. Guess what? We can prevail offensively. That's what I like to see. That was a really nice win. I was listening to the back end of the game. I loved the back end of the game. Everything was settled, and then it was just a boop and a blast, right? That's all it takes to win a ball game, no? Put the ball in play, let it get into the gaps, and don't try to do too much. And that can only doing that from the young group of guys that are looking to scramble around the final positions of this roster, or to give coaches something to talk about when they're trying to put together their AAA and AA team. These are conversation pieces that will go unrecognized. Whether you're going to sit here a month from now trying to figure out. Well, remember what back when Balcazar scored, thanks to Michael Togala, single out to right field, or Edwin Arroyo, who tied in the game, kept us alive. Those are conversation pieces. I love those conversation pieces, and I got to say, no better way fashion but to see that for the Reds. And man, it was a good win. It felt good to get it under, kind of underneath our skin, and that's going to be the first thing that we look for heading into this season. When are we going to get our first win of the season? I want it day one. I want it against the Red Sox. And get that out of the way with taking that series against the Red Sox, right? That American League, Boston Red Sox, so much history, so much conversation right there. But for the Reds to be able to pick up a victory, then we will get that, man. That's going to make the season so much better. Well, it was also good to see the lineup in action as well. Elly De La Cruz and Eugenio Suarez went back-to-back bombs in the fifth inning to put the Reds on the board. Well, they were on the board already. They had a run scored in the second, but they added two more, cutting their lead down to one in the fifth inning. Elly De La Cruz hit a blast out to center field as, let me see the information status for the home runs here. That was his first of the inning, the first of his spring training, as well as Eugenio Suarez hit a home run out to center field, left center field, kind of almost center identical places. Cruz kind of hit a little bit more straight up, but that's what we're talking about, right? We want to see the Reds also partake in. This is how that lineup that Terry Francona should be pleased about. This is how that lineup is expected to kind of lay out. You got Elly De La Cruz, you got Suarez right there back to back, and those are just two of the bigger puzzle pieces for this Reds organization that we're expecting to set that tone and play with each other. So that center of that rotation right now, or that lineup, is going to be dangerous. We're going to see Elly De La Cruz coming in batting third, getting, hopefully driving some guys in. If not, you got Suarez who could back that up, but you got to pitch to one of them. And then who else knows? We have Sal Stewart, whoever gets on that hot streak, whether it's Will Benson, Nathaniel Lowe, Sal Stewart, Tyler Stevenson, I don't know, but it sure yesterday proved to Terry and probably proved to Nick on why we went through and got Suarez back to find that power hitting guy to match up with the rest of that lineup. Suarez had an ABS challenge. It was called a strike, overturned to a ball. Myers also had a strike, overturned to a ball. Um, Tolbert had a strike confirmed, and then Collins had a strike confirmed. Stevenson had a ball confirmed as well. So the ABS challenges are moving along. The Reds continue spring training action as they take on the Chicago White Sox. First pitch 3:05. The White Sox coming into this ball game with a 4-1 record as the Reds enter in with a 1-2 record. The Reds will have left-handed pitcher Nick Lodolo on the mound, while the White Sox will have right-handed pitcher Davis Martin pitching for them. Do I have the lineups? Yes, I do. I have the lineups here for the Cincinnati Reds. Let's review them just real briefly. Batting first, the leadoff spot in center left field, Hector Rodriguez. Ke'Bryan Hayes batting second at third base. J.J. Bleday out in right field batting third. Batting cleanup is Sal Sturry. He'll be playing first. Nathaniel Lowe will do the DH spot. Batting fifth, Jose Trevino, the catcher behind the plate, batting sixth. And Blake Dunn playing in center field. King Garrett Hampson playing second base, batting eighth. And Edwin Arroyo batting shortstop and batting ninth of that lineup. So that is your lineup for today's ball game. And what I like about this is that it feels like you could have yourself a decent lineup with whoever you decide to throw out there. And you're capable of putting them in position to succeed. And that's what we see here. I mean, you don't see Cruz. You don't see Suarez. You don't see Stevenson or Steer. But you got that second group of guys. Ke'Bryan Hayes, Bleday, Stewart. I like to see Nathaniel Lowe get his worked out as it. Blake Dunn, Garrett Hampson as well. These are players battling, and I like the competition we are seeing here in this, today and moving on. But that is the Cincinnati Reds and the White Sox today's game, and that is what I have for you guys in today's episode. I sure hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Look, if you guys are watching us for the first time, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. The support does wonders for us. We can't ask for any more. Please do us a favor to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you want to be a guest on our show, please message me and let's have that conversation. I could bring you on. We could talk some sports. Also, you could also subscribe to our Patreon on our YouTube page. Donations and whatnot are very helpful. It kind of just helps supports the channel. It gets put right back into what we do, for subscription wise and things that would make this podcast active and live and vibrant. But man, if not, no worries, no pressure. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Be sure to follow us on our YouTube page, like, share, and subscribe. Have those notifications on. Be sure to also follow us on our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and more. And also follow us. If you miss any episode, you can take us on the road with you wherever you go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. If we're not on there, we're on there. Let us know. We'll be on there. But you could take us on the road, at the gym, at the office, or even just walking about. I don't know, whatever you guys do with podcasts these days. But we will be back tomorrow as we will cover more sports. We'll cover a Brock Lesnar Open Challenge match. We'll cover CM Punk versus Finn Balor at Elimination Chamber this Saturday. We'll recap the Reds, recap Bearcats baseball, and all of that still to come tomorrow, Thursday. Be there, high noon. We'll be alive. So thank you guys for tuning in, but that's all the time I have for you guys today. Until tomorrow, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.